Hey folks, Quill18 here. Some of you may have been on Steam this week and noticed that a game called Cities XL has just come up for pre-order, and you may be thinking, okay, so this is Cities XL 2012, but what if I've missed the first 2011 versions of this game? Will I be missing something? Well, lucky for you, today I'm going to answer that question of what is Cities XL 2011. It's obviously a city simulator. It's very much the spiritual successor of SimCity. Unfortunately, the last SimCity game, SimCity 4, was released in 2003, and these days Maxis isn't much more than the arm of EA Games that spits out Sims games, as in just purely The Sims. And there's no indication that a new SimCity is forthcoming. Luckily, a European company has sort of picked up the gauntlet and has produced a series of games which are now called Cities XL. I think the first one in the series is actually Cities Unlimited. And they did have an interesting twist originally. It was like a semi-MMO thing, where you could build your city and trade with other players. These days it's more of a single-player affair, but you can still build multiple cities and have your cities trade with each other, and it is a lovely-looking game. It's got quite a few building options, actually. Lots of unique buildings. I think the 2012, it's talking about nearly 1,000 buildings and structures, over 60 maps. And 2011 still boasts hundreds of buildings on dozens and dozens of maps, close to as many actually. And in fact, if you already own 2011, then 2012 is a very inexpensive upgrade. It's the same engine, I believe, maybe with some graphical improvements, and so it's almost like an expansion pack for it. Anyway, without further ado, let me start up the game. Alright, so here we are in the game. I do think it actually has really lovely music, and let me just double check the sound very quickly. Yeah, I do have it turned down. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud. And hopefully I've got my graphics set fairly decently, so it'll look okay. Oh, one thing I did want to mention before I go on. I'm going to be starting from a new city from scratch, and as I play, when you start off, there aren't going to be a lot of build options for me. There are two reasons for this, I would say. I just realized I think I've got to adjust the window ever so slightly. There. One is it pretty accurately mimics the sort of start of a city. You're not going to start with grandiose things. One of the things in the earlier SimCities, when I had big plans, I would start off by laying a super highway right away, so that I wouldn't, have to worry about moving my infrastructure around later. Well, that's not very realistic. So this starts with sort of a limited pool of options. It's also a good way to learn things because you're only exposing certain parts of the gameplay at a time. But if you're the sort of person who wants to play in a somewhat more sort of sandboxy environment, have everything unlocked to start off with, just toggle the expert mode on, and then it's going to unlock all the buildings right from the start, and probably, I don't know, maybe make the game a little bit easier in a way, but also much more complicated. So let's play here, and what we should see first off, there we go, is a map of the world. This is the planet for this game. And I don't believe this is randomly generated. And there are little cities all over. Some are pretty close together, and some are a little further apart. Now, these are all potential city locations. Like here's actually the Paris one, so I think they've got the Paris landscape, for example. They've got a few others, Hollywood, and then just Tropical Island, Wild River, Coastal Plains, sort of generic-y names for them. And they each have different characteristics. You can also use the map filter here to find a map that you're looking for. And so let's just find ourselves an easy map. I actually like the Fertile Plains quite a bit. So there's a few different ways that you can filter the map and look around. And yeah, and you can eventually populate all of these places. I'm not sure. It's possible you can build... You might be able to start more than one city on the same map and just save them with different names. I'm not 100% sure how that aspect works. Let's start with the Fertile Plains. So it's fairly easy. It's got a little bit of everything, but although not much of everything. Although it's not a very popular holiday location, which is fine because frankly the tourism doesn't interest me so much, but also because I want this first city to be a very generalized city. I want it to be it's going to be a jack of all trades. It's going to have a little bit of everything, and that's pretty important for the first city, I think. But then once you've got more than one city, then you can have them specialize and trade with each other to sort of fill those gaps, which I think is kind of cool. Let's create the first city, and we're going to call it Quillville, which I think has a really nice sound to it. You can pick the look of the towns. You know what? I'm going to take English roads, just because I usually don't bother flipping it, and I think that some of the different locations have different defaults here. So the Fertile Plains is they imagine is sort of based on some area of maybe America, and so American roads. But if you picked Paris, I think it'll default to French roads. We're going to go to English just for kicks, and hit OK. The statistics, so obviously there's not a whole lot going on right now because this is a brand new city. But of course, the whole thing with this game is you can build one city, then sort of save it, exit back out to the planet screen, start the second city, have them trade with one another and interact with one another, and all that jazz. Okay, UI's taking a little while to kick in. We've got a main menu that we can access over here. I guess I'll give you a little tour of the various controls. So I can zoom out, take a look at the map. I can zoom in, and it is actually pretty nice looking, I have to say. They use some pretty nice terrain generators to come up with something that's pretty realistic. Not sure if I can tilt my camera down. Postcard, camera. Oh, that's top-down camera. Postcard. Oh, look at that. There you go. Now you can really look at the terrain. Some awfully nice trees. The game seems to scale down pretty well. Like, this is with the graphics pretty high up, but if you've got a slower, older computer, it should scale with it perfectly fine. Like, I've got a Mac laptop that runs Windows inside of VMware, like in a fully virtualized environment, and it can play this game. And apparently that's where the world ends. So, yeah, you can do pretty good. So, the top-down view is generally the way you want to interact with things-ish. Yeah, probably. Now, the first thing, and it is pretty helpful that it's got this built-in sort of semi-tutorial for you to look at. It tells you to start off with a road connection, which I think maybe I'll start from this side over here. So, you know, yeah, let's get this started here. We're just going to grab a road. Now, so you can see most of the things are grayed out and unlocked right now, just because they sort of want you to hold your hand. We're going to start off with the biggest road we can pull off, which is right now just a small avenue. Now we can go all the way down to a simple grassy road. They've got little turnabouts too, or roundabouts, which is kind of cool. I'm going to start with the avenue. It's got the highest car flow. Basically, it's just a slightly wider road. And you can see now the edge of the map has some purple around it, and that's to indicate that, well, it is the edge, and you want to start off with connection to the outside world. I'm just going to build a straight road right into the center of the map here. Click there. I can continue the connection. It'll snap to 90-degree angles, although I can turn that off. I can also make it curve if I want to. And, you know, maybe I'll create a couple of little... I'll make a little T-bend over here. I'll finish that there, and then you zoom in so you can see what's up. That is an awfully pretty game. And there we go. We'll call that done. So it's just a two-lane road. One thing you can do that's kind of cool is if I click on this road, I can change this to be... Is it a... You might be able to fit 4 lanes of traffic in here, actually, even though you don't see the lines here. It might be a 4-lane road. It is nice with the lamppost, I think. You can toggle the road so that it's a one-way road. And so what I could do, and maybe I should do, actually... You know, that's not a bad thing to do. We've got some money right now, so let's pause the game, first of all. Because we've built roads and they have an upkeep, that'll cost us, although the game speed is pretty slow to start off with. I'm going to build another road, yeah, exactly adjacent to this one. And we may as well make it a connection as well. I'm not sure if it'll actually click. No, you know what? It's too close to the other connection. We've only got the one, but that's okay. We will connect these two together here. And now what I'm going to do is take this right road and turn into a one-way. Where's my one-way arrows? There we are. Okay, and yeah, oh, now that I'm zoomed in at the end here, I can see all the traffic lanes. So it would have been 2 each way, but now we're going to have 4 each way. So I'm sort of creating my own highway here. Oops. There we go. Oh, look right. Look at that. Look at those details. I don't think I've ever zoomed in quite this close. Huh. And do we have a movie poster or something? Advertisement? Novotel.com. Wait. That's a real hotel company. They have actual ads in here? I have never zoomed in this close. Holy cow. And traffic lights. That is sick. And look at the zoom distance. Like, this is... I'm actually enjoying this game more than ever, the fact that I'm doing this Let's Play, which is kind of why I do all these little Let's Plays. Well, this is not a Let's Play. This is a what is. I'm wondering if I should double up more of these lanes, actually, just to sort of future-proof things a little bit more. Because traffic is, well, it's an eternal problem in cities. You know, what the hell? Let's go and do that and try to be as good as we can. We'll do a little bendy here, short as we can, and then click. Bring it out here, and click, and connect, and confirm that. And we'll do the one-way stuff. Now, it's going to be a little wonky because we've got to make sure that all these little roads go the same way. You know what? I just realized that I want it to go the other way. And you can put it back to a normal road. There's a slight cost to doing these changes, actually, but I think it's well worth it. There we are. And this guy... Oops! See, this road was drawn in the opposite direction, so there we are. You got to watch out for that. Okay! That's probably pretty decent. And then we'll just build a normal block here. Not too wide. Actually, I'll hold off from that for now. Alright, now, the next thing it wants me to place is a city hall. Everything has to be connected to the city hall somehow. So, do we just put it like right here, right at the end? That actually might be kind of cool. And I have been in cities where things sort of end in an impressive building like that. And our city hall won't be too impressive to start off with, but it'll look okay. And we can unpause the game, that'll get built up. So some things do have a build time. Look at that, that's going to be pretty cool. You walk down the street and pull up right to City Hall. We even have a statue of ourselves. Great, and now we've got to place down our utility center. This is only available in your brand new city. I don't know if you've only got a limit of 1 or what, but it gives you a little bit of electricity, water, fuel, waste management for your whole city. And now this is a full city range, so it actually doesn't matter where this exists. So I kind of like to stick it on the edge of the map because it pollutes. Might as well get out of the way. Although it does need employees, now that I think about it. So maybe we don't want it that far, just for crankiness purposes. No, I'll just stick it out of the way for now. It's pretty... It's a building that doesn't really matter much in the long run, so we're just going to stick it over here. Alright, so now we're going to have power. That'll kick in, this message will change, and they'll start talking about, yes, places to live. So let's take a look at housing. Now, the housing in this game is divided in 4 different categories. You've got unskilled workers. So these are people with no specific skills or education. They're going to run a lot of your low-level, like farming and factory jobs and that sort of thing. Then we've got your skilled workers, and these are people with some sort of specialized degree. And they'll be used for your office buildings. So they're the sort of accountants of the world, the managers of the world. Some of the higher tech industries also need some skilled workers. Then you've got your executives, and finally the elites. And different things need different people. But first we need some unskilled workers, and right now the only option is low density buildings. So these are going to be individual houses. You've also got medium and high density. These are going to be small and larger apartment buildings. Now, for placing them down, you've got 4 options here. You can place down individual plots, so for a single building, for example. You can do a linear zone, which will lay down a road and put house plots on both sides. You can do a free zone, which you can sort of just draw an arbitrary polygon. Or you can do square zones. I'm extraordinarily boring, so I tend to use these square zones a lot. So what I'm going to do, and there's a few different strategies. I'm going to place it right adjacent to this road, which is not necessarily optimal, but what the heck, we got to start building things at some point. Now, it's pretty good about locking these points in a sensible place. So you can see I clicked here. It actually placed that joint in exactly where it needs to be to dodge this building. It'll also snap to intersections and other things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out a section. You know what, let's draw, yeah, that's a good amount. Here, and then there you go. Now one thing you can see with these blocks is they have a long side and a short side. And the side you draw out first is the long side. And what you'll want to do whenever possible is try to minimize how many intersections. Like, I don't try to do this so that, I have tried to avoid doing this so that the short side is on my major road, because intersections block traffic. And in fact, I may not want to have this adjacent to one of my major thoroughfares in general, but I'm doing it here because, well, I'm being a little bit lazy and it's not the end of the world. Later on, I may end up bulldozing some of these buildings, especially since they're low density and won't matter much in the long run. So let's go a couple of stacks deep here and just plop that down. The other thing you'll want to note is when you start, if you put down another one, like if I did this and went this way, and I'm not matching up the long and short side, look at the sort of extra stupid intersections that end up being created. So you get an excess of intersections if they don't match up, right? Whereas if I was paying attention and I started drawing it out in the long way instead, then the blocks would match up and I wouldn't have it sort of redundant intersections that would slow down traffic. Alright, so houses are starting to move in. That's great, but they want some shops. They want some commercial areas. And one of the things you don't want to do in this game is overdo commercial. Coming from SimCity, I would often build far too much commercial stuff. But the people in this game don't seem to need much. These are mostly like, you can think about it, especially early on, think of it like corner stores. So I'm going to go to my commerce, retail, and I'm actually even going to grab just the single zones and show that plops down. And I'm just going to build like almost like a little mini strip mall here, some corner stores, a little convenience shop. Whoa! Yeah, so there's kind of achievements and things in this game. There's checkpoints, and when you reach them, they unlock things. Some unlock things, and some just give you sort of achievement points. Let me click on this business. I'm curious to see. So this is a mini-mart that's opening here. And these commercial zones are still under construction. No one's moved in yet. You can see employees. So this person here is going to be working at this shop here. And there are also little routes you can see on the road that show you maybe where the employees come from or something like that. I think people tend to prefer to work, or they'll live in places close to their work, and vice versa. They may move, like if I were to build all these houses here and then build some industry way down south, the people would work in the industry. But then if I were to build a residential zone here, I think people would move to be closer, but I'm not 100% sure. So there we go. So people are moving in. Of course, right now they don't have much in the way of work. And so the game's asking me, hey, why don't you put down some heavy industry? We'd also put down some food industry if you want farming. We've got cereal farms, livestock, vegetable, agricultural areas, and fruit farming. We also have offices. I'm going to put down some heavy industry. That's good for some jobs. It's pretty heavily polluting, and for that reason, I'm actually going to put the heavy industry closer to the edge of the map. So half the pollution is going away. It's also not right next to my population. Now, that will generate extra traffic. On the other hand, the one thing that's very important for industry is they need access to the edge of your map here so that they can ship things. If the industry is right in the middle of the map, and especially if there's a lot of traffic, it's going to have a hard time being shippable. They don't have freight access, so you want to have them close to the edge of the map for a variety of reasons. So it hides the pollution and all kinds of things. I'm going to grab a road again. Oh, and you can see we've actually unlocked a few more road types. So just a few more options. We've even got like medium farm roads, so just dirt roads, which I think is so neat and so cute. You know what? Let's build off of here. Like so. And we'll avoid building the industry right on the highway. We'll build a parallel little avenue. Something like this. Now, I'm going to take my industry. and make it a square zone again. We'll look at the other zones at some point. And so we'll do something like this. And then we'll take the... I can't overwrite this road. That's one thing that sort of bugs me. There's not an easy way to just convert one to the other. And I know it's because this road is wider, so what can you do? So instead, let's change this around. Let's just do that. So we are creating an extra set of intersections here, but I think it's going to be worthwhile, especially since these are one-ways. It might be kind of inconvenient to go around. Now, I may have made this so far from my residential zones that it's a pain in the ass, but we'll see what that's like. Right now they can drive. There's not going to be any traffic. They've got these beautiful roads. You may as well use it. We're actually losing money every turn, so I actually should be building a lot quicker. We've got unemployment right now for the unskilled workers, but that should resolve itself pretty quickly once these guys kick in. Yeah, these companies should kick in. We should start to get some jobs. Population is increasing. That's good. Our little shopping area is done. We've got a greengrocer and a fruit and vegetable seller. Awesome. And everything looks good. You can see there's a sort of general health of the company here. Oh, I can't adjust the volume here, can I? Just a little loud for me. 1 second. There you go. Shouldn't affect you guys, but I had to turn down my personal volume just a tiny bit. And for some reason, being inside Cities Excel, it disables my normal volume key. Alright, so I'm stressing exactly how far people will travel. These are not populating very quickly. Let's speed things up and see how that's going. No, they're coming. It's not great, but it's happening. There we are. And we can also click on these little buttons here to get an idea about the health of our different groups. So these guys are still complaining about unemployment, although, yeah, we are populating things. And factories are okay. There's no food industries in the city, no high-tech, no manufacturing. So these are all things that are actually a little bit... it's not hurting the heavy industry, it's just saying these are missing. And you know what? Let's go ahead and create some farms. We will build an avenue connection from here. We're going to go into the wilderness a little bit. And we're going to build some farms, because farms are cute. Let's branch this guy off this way. We've got 1,000 people now. It's really exciting. So, farms. We'll build... Oh, you can see there's a green belt here where we can actually build the farms. So the farms are a different kind of area. They're one that you draw sort of free-form. And it can take a little bit of practice because there's a minimum and maximum size for the farm. And oh, this is actually too small. So let's stretch this out a little bit more. There we go. Voila. So that's that was a cereal farm, I think. We'll build a livestock farm across the way. We can even build sort of funny shapes on these guys. Here, we'll set up a funny shape vegetable farm behind this one. Make it sort of a trapezoid. Yeah, there we are. A generic agricultural area. We'll